Nectar 3 can also be used to create harmony parts from a single vocal line. It tracks the incoming notes and generates harmony notes related to the key and scale that we have set. Now here I have a lead vocal with a simple chain on it, and I'll just play it for you as it is now. And here's the section I want to work on.
Some things don't go as we plan.
So I want to generate harmonies for that part. So I've got my pitch module set to the key and scale that I need, and it's doing some basic work. And I've got some basic EQ, de-essing, some secondary EQ. This is all generated by the vocal assistant, and some compression and some reverb, which I tweaked a little bit. Now I'm going to add in the slot after here, harmony. So this is a really intuitive interface. The way it works is we set the scale, and when I click on this, it's going to bring me to the pitch module. And in case you don't have it set already, if you're not using it, you'll be prompted to set it. And this setting is shared with the pitch module and with this harmony module. So it's going to track the notes and generate harmony notes based on that key and scale that's set. The way it works is we click in this XY pad to add individual notes that we can set to whatever intervals we want. And by default, just calling up this module, we have 2 unison notes that are enabled. So let me play it for you just now like this, and you'll hear a thickened doubling, or in this case, tripling unison effect.
Some things don't go as we plan.
So that sounds nice just as it is, but I want to generate some harmony parts. So when we click on any of these nodes, we get the heads-up display where we can bypass the individual nodes, solo them, remove them. We can offset the pitch and the delay individually for each node. And same thing for gain and pan. We can type in numeric values, but what's easier is just dragging this up and down for gain, and that'll offset the gain, and dragging left and right for pan. So I'm going to leave these relatively hard pan, and I'll bring them down a little bit so these doubled notes are going to be a bit quieter.
Some things don't go as we plan.
So they're there, but they're subtle. Now on the right here, we have parameters that apply to all of the harmony notes that are generated. So let's say I click here, and I'm going to create additional nodes, and they get created set to unison by default. But the idea here is now we can click in this menu and then choose which intervals above or below the tracked pitch we want. So we can click on this X to get rid of them, or we can rubber band select like that and hit the backspace key. And we can do the same thing with EQ nodes in the EQ graph. So we can set the values that we want individually for each note, but these apply to all of these generated notes together. So we can globally offset the pitch correction, how much we want it to track the pitch correction based on the scale and key that we have set in the pitch module. And then there's a timing variation to introduce delays, slight delays between each note for a natural doubling, tripling, thickening kind of effect. When multiple voices are singing, they don't all have the exact same timing. So this is an offset that's applied to all the notes, separate from what we can do individually on a per note basis. Now, same thing with pitch variation. This will just add a tuning offset to each one. So I'm going to leave those around there, and that'll add natural variations to the notes that are generated. So here I've generated an extra note, and let's set this to be a minor third. And now I'm going to put this fairly high in volume. We'll pan a little bit to the left. Let's just hear what this sounds like with these 2 quieter unison notes and a minor third.
Some things don't go as we plan.
That sounds really nice. Now, if we want, we can use this solo voices only button to hear just the generated notes and not the original one.
Some things don't go as we plan. Some things.
So that's working nicely. Let's generate another node, and I'm going to set this one to the 5th. And I'm going lower because the pitch is in the high range for this male singer, and I don't want to harmonize above. That would probably sound pretty unnatural. So now let's listen with the 3rd and the 5th tracked.
Some things don't go as we plan.
Really nice. I'm going to bring that one down a little bit. And let's add another one. And I'm going to set this one an octave lower, which is a bit low, but let's try it. And I'll leave it a little bit quieter than the rest and pan kind of center.
Some things don't go as we planned.
And we also have a simple 2-band filter here that's going to apply to all the notes in this harmony module. So I'm just going to tune these a little bit so that they're a bit brighter on top.
Some things don't go as we planned. Some things don't go as we planned.
Okay, I've tweaked the settings a bit and recalled a preset I saved, just placing the third and the fifth and octave slightly differently, and I've got some filtering going on. Now, the problem is I only want this to happen on this phrase. I don't want it to happen before, so I'm going to automate this module going in and out so that it's only going to come in. Let me just make this a bit smaller. We don't need to see so much of it. So that it's only going to come in on that phrase. So I'm going to start playback from a bit before, and I'm going to put this into latch mode and then just turn it on and off when I want.
It brings back all those sweet memories. Some things don't go as we planned, but I hope she.
Great. So now it's automated and it'll come in and out, and I've got it brightened up a bit with the filtering.
All those sweet memories. Some things don't go as we planned, but I hope.
So it's a very interesting and musical way of creating harmonies where they're based on the key and scale that we're working in rather than static interval offsets. Next video, we're going to look at how to use the MIDI controlled version of this.